But yeah, so they're going to talk about Play to Earn, future of gaming, sort of similar style, but obviously it's a panel, so it's going to be a bit more interactive, a bit more back and forth, and yeah, quite a few different topics they're going to be speaking about. Someone from Algorand's going to be on the panel. There's quite a few other really interesting startups on it. So with that, I'll sort of let them introduce themselves, come up, and yeah, enjoy. Thanks. Woo!
Been a while. Nice to see you guys.
Glad to have you back. Alrighty.
Like this so I can see you guys.
Yeah, come on in. So perfect. I'm glad we're all here. So I guess let's jump right into things. So ever since the video game industry arrived in the mainstream via arcades or early day consoles, we've seen the landscape shift and embrace new technologies at an extremely fast rate. Some of these technologies succeeded, some of them didn't. In today's panel, we're going to be discussing how Play-to-Earn gaming, or GameFi, is revolutionizing the industry. I'm Hunter Williams, CEO of Unchained Partners, and I'm here today joined by my lovely panelists. And would you like to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Corey, co-founder at Mirai Labs. We created Pegaxi. We launched back in November 2021, and since then been a bit of a crazy journey.
Hi everyone, my name is Nick Gemmel. It's working?
I'm not sure your mic is working.
Yell.
But
You have to yell.
yeah, yell into our mic.
Okay. Hi everyone. No, not yet. Hi everyone, my name is Nick Gemmel. From Algorand, blockchain layer 1. We will give like the entire ecosystem for these guys to develop the best games, or it's starting to work, I think, right?
Yes.
And give them whatever they need only to create amazing games and bring like Play and Earn, we will talk about it later, to the next future.
Hey everybody. Oh, my mic is working actually.
Hey.
Perfect. My name is Michael MKX. I'm co-founder and lead wizard in Tone Worlds, 2D pixel art metaverse where you can create, play, and earn. And yeah, this is pretty much it.
Eric McIntyre, if you weren't here 5 minutes ago, I'm the CCO of Fancy Studios. We do Fancy Birds, and we'll be dropping a new game every 2 or 3 months. So ultimately, there will be something for everyone to enjoy and play and earn and own.
That's it.
Perfect. We're glad to have all you here. So Play-to-Earn gaming has arrived on the scene more recently as sort of the next logical step. We've seen very similar lead up to this space for a while now, where you have the active games, passive games, mini games tied to NFT collections, games that include NFTs cosmetically but are free to play, even games that mimic the concept of NFTs, where you have Fortnite with a $2 billion industry around skins, whether they call it NFTs or not. And so we sort of ended up with this next logical step, which is Play to Earn. So one of the things I wanted to start with today is something that we were talking about yesterday, is the concept that many of you believe the term Play to Earn itself may actually be outdated. Would you like to expand on that a little bit and talk a little bit about what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start if you guys don't mind. Yeah, I mentioned it previously, but Play to Earn, what you think of immediately is work, right? You're doing something to earn something, and that's not a fun model. I don't think that's what any of us want to create, is a way for you to work. So the current shift is play and earn. I think that's what we're kind of trying to get people to kind of adopt as the phrase, because we want you to happen to earn money while you're doing something that you enjoy doing anyway. While you're standing in line for groceries, or while you're standing in line for a coffee, we want you to be able to pay for the coffee by playing a game that you're having fun playing anyway. Or if you're not having fun, you're at least addicted enough where you're angry about it. But we do want you getting back in there. We want you trying. We want you to be like, oh yeah, cool, I am like making a couple bucks while I do this, but I don't think Play to Earn is really the idea that we want to keep perpetuating. because it just sounds like work and a grind, and that's not fun. I don't think any of us up here want to do something that's not fun, and we got to embrace that new terminology as much as we can, I believe.
I think that like the industry of playing is actually took us to disconnect from real life just to enjoy. And play to earn is, in my opinion, derivative of play and earn. So if there's people that want to be like professional gamers and this is what they want to do for their entire life and make money, so sure, play to earn. This is their job, this is what they need to do. But the majority, the vast people of that plays games just want to disconnect from their life and actually to have fun, to have fun games to play with. And when they finish and they feel like, okay, that's enough for me for this game, they can actually take their entire assets, entire tokens that they earn through the game, and just move them to another game or to just cash out. And because they spend time, they actually did something. They give to this ecosystem of the game time, and time is our precious thing ever. If someone can teach me how to have more than 24 hours a day, I'm down. But yeah, in my opinion, this is why the term is not play to earn, it's play and earn, and from there we can actually get derivatives for any other options.
Yeah, and I think just to build on that real quick, bring up the speech I just had is you're also playing to own. You know, you really are playing to grow, and these are assets, and this is tangible wealth that you can build on, that you can start to, you know, like I was saying, the story from the player in the Philippines who just wanted to own more of it. And the only way he could do that was by playing to own it. So he was playing, and he was gradually building up his money so that he could buy more of the thing he was playing, and he would have ownership of it. And that's just a very powerful feeling. And it's just, this is a digital way to give gamers, you know, a stake in the game, and to give them an opportunity to own something that they're passionate about, that they're making money with, and that they can make more money with the more that they put towards it and the more that they put into it. They're really earning it, and they're owning more property. And that's just really cool. And I don't think we're really, you know, wrapping our minds or like the messaging around that yet. Is like, look, you are owning some of this. You're getting better, and you're saving up, and you're owning more of your own labor. And I think that's really cool. And I think that's something that no other industry really allows or builds right now.
Yeah, for me, Play to Earn showed us that we can actually own our items, that we can monetize our in-game actions. And for me, it opened a door for people to actually realize that create to earn something is, for me, something is a derivative of Play to Earn. Showed us that we can create parts of the game and monetize this action, that we can build games together with community. And I believe the future games, either Metaverse or Play and Earn or Play to Own, will be made by really strong communities.
Yeah, I hold similar sentiment, but my personal opinion kind of lays on maybe it's a little bit early to label. Things change way too quick. So we're going to have a new label eventually every month. So you might as well just accept that they're games. And they involve a little bit of money right now, which is fine, probably a lot of money. But yeah, you know, it can be play to earn, play and earn, play to own. For sure, they'll probably connect to specific games, but eventually, of course, the end goal here is to integrate blockchain, integrate tokens naturally, organically into a game, and it probably won't be any different to just a game. So for sure, right now, again, it's early, so we can label it, but I think eventually things are going to transform, and it's just going to feel like a game. But I'd say we're probably 5-10 years away from something like that.
Interesting. So starting off with something relatively high level, play to earn, play and earn, play to own, GameFi. How do we see it changing the gaming industry in the next 5 to 10 years like you were talking about?
That's a tough one. I think 5 to 10 years, like you go and check coin market cap right now, it looks like crypto's going to end tomorrow. So let's hope we make it there first. But I'm sure we have some amazing builders who are going to survive that long, which is great. So yeah, I would predict in 5 to 10 years' time, if I'm honest, my vision is that how there's a lot of hype, how there's a lot of interest from the crypto space is probably going to disappear because it will be, these studios are going to use blockchain as a foundation of their development for, proof of everything inside of the game that's happening. So it'll be very, very natural, and I don't think that's going to be a selling point. NFTs, tokens, everything on chain is probably not going to be a selling point at that point in time. So there's going to be obviously like companies and chains who benefit from that type of movement, but it's, again, a selling point to be on chain, a selling point to be, NFTs or whatever like that, I think is just not going to exist. And it's going to come back to Web 2 fundamentals of you need a good game to survive. That's my perspective.
Yeah, and building on that, well, first of all, I think that if you think you know what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years and you try to force it, you're not going to survive. We have to be like fluid. We have to like move with the flow. To survive, you have to constantly be changing and modifying, and never surrender that. Always have that flexibility. But to build on what Corey was saying, I think that the way that it ultimately works is that these casuals, these everyday gamers, people that are just playing games, the way that this economy all works and the way that this continues to work and continues to grow is that these people don't know that they're in a crypto platform, right? They can't know that because as soon as you give somebody a seed phrase, they're out. They're like, wait, I have to remember these numbers just so I can continue playing my game, and if I don't remember these words, then all of my stuff is gone. We need to make it as creators as easy as possible. Let them sign in, and there's a wallet or something on the back end that connects to all that. And when they're getting their assets, we know that it's all on chain. We know that they own their stuff, but they don't have to know the process of that. Right now, to get involved with what we're doing, you need to know, let's be honest, you need to know a lot about computers, and you need to know a lot about the internet. You need to be like, okay, this is a seed phrase, this is MetaMask, this is how we connect our wallets to our applications, and this is how we get our dApps operating, and it's just like how many people have friends that you've started to explain for 3 seconds, and then they just go like that. And that's not a sustainable economy for the future. So, once we have that perfect way to marriage Web 2 experience with Web 3 assets and applications, I think that's when it really takes off. And I think that's when the future becomes real. That's when you're playing Diablo, and when you get that weapon, you're actually owning it, and somehow you can actually now put it on an auction site, similar but much better to much more easily accessible than OpenSea. And people can actually start to understand it without knowing what a seed phrase is, or without knowing what MetaMask is, or their wallet address. So all that stuff, as soon as we make that easy, we'll be good to go. I think gaming will really embrace the idea of it when it's more easy to digest.
So, for a question, how it will change the industry, right? We actually first need to understand what blockchain actually bring to the gaming industry. And in my opinion, it's 4 major changes. First of all is the monetization of the tokens and the items inside the games. You can call it fungible token, you can call it NFTs. But the idea is actually that you're able to monetize it. The second thing that, as you said, it's the player actually own all these items. First of all. The third thing, it's actually the connection between the games. It actually allows you to move your assets and move to another game and don't stop to play because you're too invested in this game. And the fourth one, it's actually that the user actually can evolve the game itself. He can actually start to develop, he can add levels, he can add items, he can create stuff and own them, and then to sell them inside the game. And this is something that the industry these days don't allow you to do. These days you can play, pay to win. This is 99% of the games in the market these days. So the labels are there all the time, but when the industry will understand that the gamers these days feel like enough for paying to win, or just pay the next season, and just how they took for me more and more money, and they don't get anything except like fun that they can actually get from any other game, then the industry will change. And this is, I think, what we do here in the panel, like all the people here, is give them the small change, show them how more and more players actually leave the traditional game and move to the GameFi area, and able to own their assets, able to sell that, and then they feel like their time worth more. And the seamless, I believe we'll talk about it later, right? But this seamless thing need to be there because the player don't want to have delay, lags. You just want to play, turn on the game. The maximum is like click another button to connect his wallet, and that's it. From there, all the transaction, everything need to be like in the back, need to be integrated to the game via SDKs, and have fun. That's it. Eventually, if you want to cash out, you can cash out, and then you need the seed phrase. But until then, you don't care. This is, in my opinion, how actually the industry will be changed when it will start from the bottom and then go up for the tier 1 companies.
Very interesting. So I suppose a big question I have is there's oftentimes in the mainstream a little bit of a misconception or her mental block around the concept of NFTs and sometimes a negative opinion. And so my question for each of you is how is our industry going to be able to move past that? And I heard each of you touch on several things that I believe could be a major contributing factor to that, such as the seamless experiences and the fact of NFTs potentially meaning less to the overall process, more so on the back end. So if we could each expand on that just a little bit as well.
Sure. I'd love to start. I think the best way to make people understand NFTs is to not make them understand NFTs. You know, it's going to be our job ultimately to make this seamless. We're not going to, a lot of people aren't going to learn. They're just not going to learn. They don't care to. They've got stuff going on. Like, all of us have dove into this. Like, we want to know what NFTs are. We want to know how to connect things. We want to know how to move things. We want to know how to get, income from the volume traded things. Like, 99% of people don't want to do that. They don't have time. They don't have the mental energy to do that. So it's our responsibility as creators to make it as simple as possible. Don't mention the word NFT. Let them just play their game and they're like, oh cool, I've got this, sort of awesomeness or whatever it is, and they don't have to know it's an NFT. All they have to know is that they have it. And oh cool, I have my sword of awesomeness in this other game. I didn't even realize that these items were transferable. So, it's not about teaching people what we do. They're not going to learn. They don't want to. We need to get over that. What we need to do is just make it easier for them to continue doing what they do, how they do it, and have it be our architecture on the other side that's making that happen for them. So, I mean, maybe that's just my opinion. I don't feel like educating people a lot of the time because it's just, how much time are you going to spend teaching people everything you know? You know what I mean? You can't. You sit down with people, and the number one thing you're thinking of is, okay, how do I make them understand this super complicated thing I know a lot about? That's too much time. That's too much energy. Just sit them down and be like, hey, here's how you play the game. And then they're playing it, and little do they know, they're accumulating NFTs. They're getting points that they can trade on the back end for actual dollars. But all of this is not a blockchain action to them. All of this is just they're continuing to game. And Fancy Studios, I think, is trying to do that by making a whole bunch of easy, addictive games from the 80s, 90s. We want to make all the favorite stuff you grew up playing. Joust, we did Fancy Birds. We want to make all these cool things, and we don't want people to have to know they own NFTs to get into it. We want them to go in the App Store and start playing, and then, oh, I got an Amazon gift card? Where did this come from? You know what I mean? We want to make that the process. I don't think we can educate most of these people because they just don't, and I'm not saying they're stupid, they just don't have time to learn all of it. There's a lot to it. So I do think it's our job, and it should be our focus, to onboard people without intimidating them with the idea of blockchain, NFTs, ownership, all that. Just let them organically learn. We need to create platforms that allow them to onboard without realizing how complicated of a system they're getting involved in. And I think once we do that, then we've actually achieved that next step that brings us into the future that you were talking about in the last question?
Yeah, I think these days people adding blockchain NFTs in the games just to bring something new, just to advertise them literally. Because some games don't even need NFTs. I ask a lot of people, why does your game have NFTs in it? And for most of the people, it's just the major part of their marketing campaign. So if something that you said, if they will just stop saying this, they'll just lose their audience because they're like, oh, we're a metaverse, we have NFTs. Why do you have NFTs there? Just slow down the process. Why do people need them in there? And the most important question to ask is, why do you actually need NFTs in your game? Why is it play to earn? And later on, when we get to the question where liquidity comes from.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to summarize it is in a real world example. You guys all have a bank card and you pay for something and you tap it on the machine. It'd be very weird if the person you were paying was like, do you know how that shit works? You'd be like, I don't have an effing clue, but you don't give a shit either. Like, it doesn't matter. You just care that it paid it and you go home with the stuff that you bought. That's kind of the idea here, right? It's like, I don't care how the F that works. Just, I want the benefits. And that's kind of our job, right? We need to hide all of the BS that no one cares about. And it's true. Even if you have all the education, they ain't going to check it. They're going to just say they read it, like we do with terms and conditions, same stuff. And it's just going to end up them playing like they normally would anyway. Yeah.
Interesting. So now on to one of the hard questions. So a lot of times, one of the big criticisms that we see from more traditional gaming developers is that the funds that are necessary to enable these PD mechanics oftentimes come from the new players, and they're being dumped on by the early adopters. This combined with the concepts that we're seeing recently with some play-to-earn mechanics around hyperinflation it begs the question, how are or will we create a more sustainable play-to-earn mechanic and a play-to-earn economy, if you will? And what does that look like?
Yeah.
In my opinion, the thing, like how you onboard players, is like you onboard in traditional games. They just start to play. The first NFT, the first token, is come because they play. They spend hours, and after they did several missions, they get their first NFT. They start to earn from killing mobs, for example, or to do these missions, earn token. And when the interest for the game is equal to everyone, then no one can do dump. So if you start a game that I buy 10,000 tokens and all the NFTs, when the hype is starting, because I did it early, I can dump the system. But if you start a game like it's ordinary, like it's not a blockchain game, it's not the tokenomics of let's make money fast, right? Then people actually will enjoy to play, will have fun, and they earn their token and NFTs through the time of the game. And this is how you actually create a sustainable economy. Because if we took it to the traditional world, if I own all the gold in the world, right, and I sell everything at once, that's it. I lose everything. But if you spread it entire, like, look, the nature do it naturally, right? The gold not in one place. It's actually spread around the world. It's by geo areas. And this is like how it needs to be as well. You spread the NFTs, you spread the tokens through the players through time. And then you actually have the more sustainability economics in the game.
Yeah, I think it's a tough question, and I'm not sure. I will talk about this in my talk a little bit later. Kind of just wanted to address it head on, but it's an interesting situation, and I think it's easy to talk about, but the solution is not as easy as people think. You know, you can have the best economics inside the game that anyone's ever seen, but if there's no demand, it doesn't matter. Like, if no one's playing the game or no one, it's just the reality of it. People talk about Ponzi-nomics and stuff like that, but there is simply not a business that would ever survive without new money coming in. It's physically impossible. That's a fundamental of how the game needs to survive, whether or not it has money or not. So I genuinely believe that if you go and look, independent of the current market conditions, probably 9 out of 10, probably 10 out of 10 to be honest, of the charts of popular games look like this. The reality is probably because of the current mentality of the audience and who the audience is. The audience is not players. None of these games are even completed. Most of them are in alpha. You need complex, I guess, game development, game design to be able to sustain something long term, especially with money. But the people coming in are here for money. They're not going out there and doing traditional space user acquisition strategies. They basically forget all Web 2 fundamentals of running a business and they just base it off of hype. And that's just not a sustainable ecosystem, unfortunately, independent of how good your game ecosystem is. So I think it's more so just, again, the fact we are early for sure, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes, but also the audience, I guess, the people who are here playing the game, it's, I guess from our personal experience, we had a 2D horse racing game that's in like an MVP, basically, not even in alpha, and it had $200 million going through it. I think that's probably indicated that they're not here for the effing game. Right. So, yeah.
But I think like you just pointed the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The games are not built to be like AAA games.
Correct. There's not enough time.
But this is the thing that you actually need to do, and this is what we do in our ecosystem at Algorand. Actually, we have around 4 games, like AAA games, that need to launch that based on the blockchain. Like Battle Royale game that looks like Fortnite, Call of Duty together. First shooter that remind you like Counter-Strike, and the mobile game that look like Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And actually, when you see the game, I played the alpha versions, and it was fantastic. Like, it's not like TD or Nintendo or something. It's actually a game. My gaming computer was needed to work to run it, and it's super fun because you actually feel that you play, you have fun, and then in the back of the mind you actually said, "Whoa, I can make money on this as well." Why I'm not 8 years old again, but this is the thing. Like, we need AAA games to the ecosystem, and actually people that will enjoy to play this. All the gamers and all the NFT, let's say, characteristics, criticals that they said about it, it's because the game's not fun. We play like games just to spend money, to make money. And this is sad. Like, the game industry, as I said in the beginning, created to disconnect us from the real life, give us time to enjoy and have fun. So if the game is not fun, the basic is not there.
And you know, that goes back to the point of shifting the paradigm from, you know, play to earn to play and earn. If we keep doing play to earn, you're not going to survive. Because Corey was saying, like, $200 million, right? Like, for what? You know what I mean? Like, we just started, guys. We get it. Thank you for investing. That's really cool. I'm glad you're super excited, but that's not how real video games work. You know, you have to actually build an audience. And remember, there's, you know, the number of like blockchain games compared to the number of real games that come out, there's a massive difference. And in the real world, like, video games come out, like, hundreds of them, and you'll have one successful one, right? And for it to work for us, you need to be that successful one as well. You know, you have to continue to offer something that keep people coming back and enjoying your game and wanting to invest that time and that money and that, telling people, because that's the number one thing, is getting them to tell their friends about it. You know, they're not going to tell their friends about a boring game. But I think, you know, Fortnite, you know, they keep, here's some more skins, here's some more skins. Okay, here's some more money, here's some more money. If we were doing that, if we were creating something that made that hype and that had people naturally investing in it, you know, because they're enjoying the benefits of investing in it, not just because they're going to hope to make an extra 20 cents that day, then that's where you really get to the point where you tip over into here's a profitable model where, you know, the people making the profit happen to be the people that are playing, happen to be the people that, you know, invested early. But I think, you know, we really do have to shed that mentality of play to earn, because until we do that, that's the sticking point. And yeah, like Corey was saying, you have to earn that $200 million of value. You really have to build up to that, other than just having people be like, I bet this is going to be awesome. And then here's a whole bunch of money. It's not awesome. Give me that money. You know what I mean? You have to build something awesome, and people have to like be like, yeah, this is awesome. And when it's naturally growing, like if it was off chain and it was making money, that's how you know that you are going to be successful for yourself, for your investors, and how you're going to have a long runway, and you're going to be able to continue to grow. And I think that's why it's so imperative for us to kind of shift that thinking and just shift even like how we talk about it. Or else, we're digging our own graves by telling people, hey, get to work. Get to work, play our game. You know what I mean? Like, that's not fun. That's not what anyone wants.
It's when you end up with 2,000 people all in the same click farm, farming for the same fish, out of a server room, and yeah.
But yeah, let's just keep making stuff that kicks ass, and eventually, people are investing in us not because of what we're having right now, but because we have the right mentality about how to make it awesome in the future. And you want to bet on the guy that's just going to make fun stuff, that's just going to keep making stuff that people want to play. And that income, that money that you got to spread around, that comes in more naturally as people want to do your thing.
Absolutely. So it's really exciting to see that we're now seeing the AAA games coming into this space. And a question I have is sort of why haven't we seen them there already? And why haven't we seen them coming into the space earlier? And what does the future of that potentially look like?
You want to take?
I mean, there are AAA. I think AAA games are expensive. Let's start there. And it's hard to sell an idea. Pigaxi is a great example of they got a ton of money, and then they were just like, okay, let's get started. But not everyone's so fortunate. There's a Gala Games. They're creating a giant MMO, and no one knows how it's going to be. No one knows anything. I own 10 of their property NFTs. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a matter of that chicken and egg thing. Like, okay, we need money to make this game. To make this game, we need, it's that balance of finding when to get that income so that you have the developers, but then you have to create something to bring in more income to create more developers. And it's just kind of it's difficult to get the AAA game. I don't know if you've seen Fancy Birds, but we're pretty high up there when it comes to graphic standards and adventuring. Certainly not some simple 8-bit game, but no, the AAA games will come, and they also have to be good. How many AAA games off-chain are terrible? 99% of them, you know what I mean? Like, how many games have I been excited about and then just said, Cyberpunk, and then just like moved on. So it has to also be awesome. And remember how young we are. Yeah. We're pioneers. Like, I'm not trying to like blow us up, but we're pioneers here. We are going to go down the wrong path a lot. But we're always carving that next thing. We're always finding something useful to pass on. And then eventually someone's going to nail it, and it's probably going to be one of us. No big deal. But probably going to be someone on this stage. But yeah, you have to realize that we are very young, and we're figuring this out for other people as well. We're taking those risks. And AAA games is a huge risk.
As well, I think because it's a lot of money, the developing time is high. And as well, you need a good SDKs and good blockchain that actually will support this developing. Something that we do in Algorand as well. Like, I'm from Algorand, blockchain layer 1. I know, like, not a gaming studio, but this is something that I very push forward, like to bring a really good SDKs for Unity, for Unreal Engine 5, and to help and make the life of the developer easier. Right, because when you start to develop the game, then you need to do any interaction inside the game need to be a transaction. And here comes the problem, right? How you do it on the blockchain, what is the finality time? What is the cost of each transaction? Imagine that you play MMORPG game, and every time that you kill a monster, you need to pay 5,000 gas fee in Ethereum. It's not making any sense, right? This is what happened right in the Ape right now.
Yeah.
This is why you need to choose the right blockchain. Like, in my opinion, layer 1 blockchain that actually allowed you to hold this entire transaction, because a game, if it's successful, do millions or even billions a day, transaction a day. you need to have the ability to edit the NFT and not minting again each time, because if it's a MMORPG game or even first shooter, the NFT itself, if it's the gun, if it's the character itself, need to edit its stamina, its strength every time. And if we go to the major of blockchains, you need actually, every time you do it, you need to mint a new NFT. With Algorand, you actually just can edit it in one transaction, very simple. And this is the thing when I believe like AAA games will arrive. When the ecosystem, actually the entire world that help the developers to be like easier, like to do it as a traditional world, then we will see more and more AAA games arriving to the world. And yeah, I think this is when we'll see AAA games coming.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely hard to make a AAA game. This is why it's not it's there on blockchain yet. But what about publishers making their games crypto, like bringing NFT to their game, like big publishers? And we had examples of big publishers doing this and their communities just denying it because they're not ready for all of this yet. Because the major audience of current play-to-earn games and NFT games are not gamers but crypto people. People actually trying to earn crypto playing there, not gamers.
If we take Eric, what he said in the beginning, the regular gamer don't have time actually to start to learn, to start to understand what happened. And people, taxes is terrifying. When you start to play and actually understand in the end of the year, because you played and have millions of transactions, you need to pay taxes. And this is something that the regular player don't have it and don't have the idea. I do a lot of conversation with the Israeli SEC, and I told them like, listen, in 2 years from now, you will start to run after 8 years old because you didn't pay the taxes. And this is like something that all the, let's say, the tax authority need to change in their mind, because it's coming, it will be here very soon. And if they don't change how we look on blockchain, because we are not at the time of NASDAQ that people run with papers and need to do the transaction, actually everything is seamless, is happening in seconds and very easy, and the fees is low as well. So we have a lot of work here, like in regulation way and in developer way, but eventually I believe we will be there, and the world will be with better games, and our time will be worth more.
Absolutely. Well, I think with that, we're just about time to wrap up. But we've talked a lot about like what this one of the really common themes of today has really been a seamless experience and what that looks like in the GameFi space. And I think we're all really excited to see that continue to grow and that to continue to evolve to where you can bring Eric's sword of 1,000 truths to game to game to game and really have that seamless integration and experience. And I think we're right. You know, someone on the stage will probably be the ones to move that forward. So with that, to the amazing panelists, thank you so much. We give them a little round of applause. Thank you so much.